Hello and welcome to the Faith Building Podcast episode 21 with your amazing hosts Vladi Kuna and
Norman Gräter.
a warm welcome from our side. And as we already touched in episode 20, the last one, we want to speak about the old and the new world. And we realized that, we spoke about that already in one of the first episodes. Nevertheless, this topic is as good as all the topics in personal development. We just touch it again, maybe approach it from a different angle. And the question we want to put behind the old and the new world is, do you create or design your life? Which means, do you create the new world for you, the world you want to have? Or is your life designed by your employee, by the government, by people around you? Do you follow them, or do they actually have their own thing and you have your own thing, creating your own world? And that's what we will dig into today. And Vladi, just before we press record, had an amazing good idea and a question. So I hand it right over to Vladi.
I'm going to ask the question and hand it right back to Norman, because this is such a passionate subject of us guys, but this is something that if you're not liking where you are, you don't like the job you're in, you don't like the house you're living in, you're not enjoying the relationships, anything you don't like in your life, you can change it. What if we told you that you actually have a power to just direct the energy differently, change things around and create whatever you would love? Now, this starts with one thing, and that is you must be the one who desire the change. It's not that we would love you to change, or your partner would love you to change, or your children, your parents, whoever it is. It is you who have to make a decision. Okay, enough is enough. I'm not liking where I'm living. I'm not enjoying it. And remember, dissatisfaction stimulates growth. So take it as a joyful challenge, saying, okay, so what is the new world? How does the new world look to me? What am I putting in the new world? And my question to Norman will be this. We start creating world, obviously, with how we're feeling and also the energy around the thoughts. So my question is, we give so much attention to what's happening in the world and things we are not happy with. And we're passionate about trying to change that or actually make some difference to the changes. So Norman, is there anything that you feel passionate about changing? And so people understand what I'm asking is Wayne Dyer, our lovely mentor, he used to be so passionate about, I think the company was called Montana in Hawaii, who was genetically modifying the food. And he was fighting with a passion to change this. And as we all know, if you fight something and you give it of energy, it also creates more of it. So if we don't like the politicians and we think of them in a negative way, we actually give them more power instead of entertaining the idea, how would this new thing look like? But is there anything that you have that you would love to change in this world, Norman?
Not right now. I used to have it, and it's very interesting. I just had a talk with a guy who owns a hotel, and we were talking about giving keynotes and workshops at his hotel. And he said, what's your motivation to be on board of cruise ships so often? And this basically answers your question, Vladi. I said, when I started in 21, I think it was still ego-driven. I was being positioned in the big theater with over 1,000 people, and I loved it. And it came close to my Porsche Arena idea I had for 2020 that was killed by COVID, basically. It was all ego-driven. Bigger, 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 more people. I wanted to have all the people on board to come to me, especially the really negative ones that I saw every day. And I was frustrated that the really negative ones did not come. And after a while, they moved me from the big theater to a smaller location. And to be honest, it's much better, because if you have a theater that fits over 1,000 people and you have sometimes 40 people sitting in there and they're sitting all over the place, you have to work your energy quite well to reach and keep all of them. So I was frustrated in the beginning, especially my ego that said, but I want to be a theater artist and not a small location. It's something I don't like. And the more I started talking in the smaller location, I realized, I can actually see all the people in front of me. I can hold them energetically in my hand because it's kind of a smaller room. And if the room, of course, is full, instead of having a big theater that is not full at all, it makes so much more sense because with every free seat, the energy just drops in the room, which would mean eventually I should have put all the empty chairs out, which cannot be done in a big theater, of course. And when he asked me the question, what my drive and passion is, what I just shared in the beginning, realizing it now, I think it was my ego. I wanted to do bigger, better, bring so many people from the old world to the new world and inspire them and change their point of view, until I heard something, and probably it was Neil Donald Walsh, one of our mentors, that said, you don't have to do the job of God. It's not your job to rescue the world, especially if you really think about it, being in personal development. If you think that there's something wrong with the world, you did not understand the whole concept. Because who are you to say what is right or wrong, what should be changed or what should be right? It's all through my blue glasses, what I see. And therefore, I stopped chasing people and saying, oh, they need to come and they need to be inspired. Right now, I'm quite happy about all the people that are coming. And if you compare it to the big amount of guests on a cruise, it's nothing, basically. It's not even 10% that fit into that one room. Still, the same people are coming again and again and again and again. And for their life, something changes. And all the others, what you already shared. There's this beautiful quote, and it goes more or less like this. You can only escape a prison if you realize that you're sitting in one. And if most people, the majority, does not even realize that they are kind of sitting in a prison based on our point of view, how should they break out? How should they break free? And again, am I the person who puts the finger in somebody else's face and says, oh, you're doing something wrong, you're doing something the old way, the old style? As we all know, the law of attraction works very precise, and the law of attraction has no opinion. Like, it's not what we see in churches with Jesus or with God or with Buddha or Mohammed or whatever their names are, the big spiritual leaders and Christian leaders and Islamic leaders and so on. They usually say you have to follow me and you have to follow my advice. And it always comes down to the same thing. Am I working on myself or am I working on all the others? Because the moment I think that everybody else has a problem, I also did not understand the law of attraction, because the law of attraction attracts more of my energy. So all the reflections that show up through people, through animals, through incidences, through accidents, whatever it might be, are just a reflection that I can have the mirroring of the frequency I send out. So if somebody would say, oh, somebody ran in my car, I always ask, so what did you put out that this happened? Oh, nothing, it was not my fault. I stopped at a traffic light, but the other bumped right into me. Good, next question is, how did you feel after that? I felt totally frustrated. I screamed around, I yelled around. I said, okay, when in the last couple of days, weeks, months, years, did you feel the same emotion? You were frustrated. Oh yes, when the government wanted to have money from me, when my neighbor made too much noise, or the grill was smoking or whatever. I felt the same. So I said, so the accident is just an occasion. It has nothing to do with the accident. It's just an occasion that gives you the chance to get more of the energy that you send out. And if you really, really, really want something, you get it. But you also get what you really, really, really don't want, because the law of attraction is neutral and it does not give you only the good stuff. It just neutrally reflects the frequency, the vibration you are sending out, and gives you, of course, what I said, occasions and circumstances and situations where you feel the same emotion. And what the circumstance is, the universe just does not care. It's just up to, what can I do in Vladi's, in Norman's life, to give you more of the feeling that you put out. So I think nothing needs to be changed.
I love that. It's such a profound answer, and it really comes from a place of growth.
Oh,
Because I remember equally, it's we lie to ourselves when we started in. I'm gonna put my hand up. We lie to ourselves, and I love when you mentioned ego, because I know Wayne Dyer used to call it ego is the edging God out. So it's being outside of your higher self. It's being outside of who you really and truly are, the best version of yourself. And what you touched beautifully is, I will just sum it up quickly, is like take responsibility. It's really taking responsibility, and we can't change other people. This is something that still so many partners and relationships and work relationships, and like doing, like people say, well, I don't like them, so I'm trying to give them an opinion and teach them a lesson. We haven't come to this earth to give anyone a lesson or teach anyone a lesson. Yes, we're sharing lessons that we grow through, the experiences we experience, and create the beliefs around that. And if we can get better and higher selves, then we can help others to understand what helped us. But I'm working with a master in Prague, and she has been, profound. And she's one of those high-end gurus. And I love that. Like, she's unavailable. There's no social media presence. She has a 1-year waiting list, people trying to get to her. So this only, I'm showing you guys that this chasing what Norman was talking about, having 1 million followers and people and quality, and focusing on the quantity and not the quality. It's better for you to have 100 followers who are really fully immersed. It's your tribe. And when you have something to offer or share, they dare, because they love you, as opposed to 100,000, which AI made half of them anyway. So you have a higher number, but the quality is way lower, which also points out that you're lowering your frequency with this, because you actually accepting it. You're accepting the number rather than the quality. You're focusing on chasing something instead of grounding yourself and say, what do I need to change inside of me in order to live a different life, to reflect this and imagining it. And also we have these chemicals that we're addicted to. And this is our passionate subject with Norman, like we talk, you've got the version of yourself which is attached to every emotion. We have a part that is angry, one that is in love, one is passionate and joyful and really enthusiastic and fascinated, and then the other one is frustrating and not happy and maybe victim. But really, it's you who choose these emotions. It's you who accept that emotion as well, because you have a will to choose anything. So going to not interfering with anybody's journey in a direct sense, just being and shining your light and allowing people who get influenced by what you have to share, how anything that who you are, that because it's the energy, and everything is energy. Money is energy. Love is energy. Work is energy. The plants are energy. Your computer, everything is energy. And every energetical vibration has a different frequency. So how would you say, Norman, like what really, when you look back through your journey, because you pretty much mastered so many things, and it really is letting the ego self out and allowing us to be our highest, truest self. What would you say was the biggest challenge when you learned from? Because our biggest challenges are always the biggest growth. But what were the things where you felt like you really had to focus on not losing your true self?
I had to focus on the total opposite of what I thought is the right thing. You just mentioned having 1 million followers or 10,000 followers, whatever you prefer. Usually it's really what you also said, the ego that wants to have that. Oh, I'm comparing myself to X, Y, Z, and I need to be bigger, better, and so on. That nobody of those 1 million followers is liking your post or buying something from you. It doesn't matter unless the number is high. Of course, then you aim at high numbers, and if this makes you happy, great. But I don't think so. The thing that I had to learn, and I remembered that yesterday when I gave a one-on-one coaching, what I just shared about the energy. The frequency that you just mentioned, you send out with every thought, will be reflected by the law of attraction. And therefore, a similar vibration, frequency, feeling has to come back to you through an event on the outside, because that's the only way how the universe can trigger an emotion in you. Something on the outside needs to happen. It's not just that you get a package sent and this opens within you and you just feel the emotion. No, you need other people, circumstances, objects to feel that, to kind of receive the reflection. And when my Porsche Arena project went down and I had nothing, no relationship, no money, no future dream, no current dream, no job because it was COVID, I had basically nothing. The smart thing based on my thinking back then would have been work hard, and if nothing works, work even harder and longer and sit there day and night and make Google ads and write posts and 20 posts a day on all platforms or only on one platform. There the opinions differ depending on the mentor you listen to. And the thing I did, I thought about what would I really love to do now, or where would I love to be? And the answer was quite simple. I wanted to be back on a cruise ship. For sure, in March 2020, this was not possible because all the cruise ships were sitting in front of the harbors, the islands, and they were not functioning because people were not allowed to travel or to be in groups together. So there was actually not one way on this world to make this dream come true. What I knew was it's not about the act itself, being on a cruise ship, having another car, having 1 million followers. It's about the emotion that I gain out of the experience. And I thought about myself, how do I feel when I'm on board, laying next to the pool in the sun? And what I figured is, if I put my beautiful body outside into the sun in my home garden, it's basically and actually the same sun. It's actually the same air that would flow around my face and my nose and my body. Because the air that's somewhere in the Mediterranean and the air that's here in the southern German part, at one point it's the same air. And you get the idea about the same. So I put myself out. I think I even grabbed a beer and I closed my eyes. I put on YouTube a 2-hour clip with just waves and the sound of waves. So I laid there just in the sun doing nothing compared to what I did before. I worked a lot, I worked hard, and I thought I have to make something and do something to get something. And I did quite the opposite. I just made something that gave me the feeling that I wanted to have through the actual event, like being on a real cruise ship. And now jumping forward from this moment on, I still had no money and nothing. I came into contact with Bob Proctor's masterclass. And I thought, yeah, that's nothing for me. First of all, I don't have the money. And second of all, masterclass. What does he want to tell us? The stick person again, 1,000 times? I don't need that. And this is the first step, being arrogant. And I'm coming back to the story in a second. There are 2 things that you need to be really successful in life. Number 1 is based on your willingness to learn. And I was willing to learn until the point where I said, no, money is in the way. I stopped learning because I already know it. And the second part is your willingness to accept change. And the moment I say, oh, I heard this already, I know this already, you are not a 10 out of 10 in regards to your willingness to learn or to change. If you say, no, I do it the same way like before. I have to make posts, I have to write people, I have to cold call people, I have to do all the hard stuff that actually brought me to the place where I was. Now you said, no, Norman, it was COVID. You could not be responsible for that. I'm not talking about that. The situation I was in because I thought, felt, and acted a certain way, and this working long and hard brought me at one point to this place where I had nothing left. So I did the exact opposite of it. And as Bob mentioned, oh, the first person that signed up is Phil Goldfine. He's a great student. And I thought, oh, Phil Goldfine, I want to get in touch with him. I think this masterclass is now very interesting and important for me. To cut a very long story short, I think it was $25,000 back then. And if you have nothing, 25,000 is a lot. Still, I wanted to have it because I had a strong emotion. I said, I want to have my movie made. I want to get in touch with Phil and so on. So there was a strong frequency. Like, I want this, I want this, I want this. I need this, I need this. That's mine, it's mine, it's mine. And there was a possibility coming in. And guess what? I signed up. I put the deposit, I think, on my 2 credit cards and everything that I could do. And the money came back from a client that I had not on my plate, that came from me out of nowhere after not talking to me for 3 years. He called me and said, oh, you spoke at our conference many, many years ago. We just bought a company from our mother company because they wanted to sell our company. And we took over the whole company and we need this positive spirit. Could you do something for us? Yes, I said, I can do. And there was my deal. And this totally paid off the whole amount. And not only that, living in the state of having it already, putting myself out in the sun, opened 1 year later the possibility that when I was on a cruise ship again, I approached the cruise director and said, can I give keynotes here? So this was the next step. And then followed the next step. And we just came back from a cruise, and Vladi and I talked about it earlier. So many beautiful things just happened. The last cruise, it really unfolds. And the whole story started basically 2016, when Anke and I decided we want to do this work on cruise ships. We applied, but it did not work. So it was laying in my desk basically for 4 or 5 years. And I thought, there's no way, because I like the picture. Imagine you have a radar screen, and I don't know radar, if it's a 5-mile radius or 10 miles, let's say 5-mile radius, you can see on the radar. So whenever you ask about the how can I achieve it? How can I do it? I need to know where it comes from and how it works. You're looking at your 5-mile radius radar, and you say there's no ship, there's no airplane, there's nothing. I can see nothing. But maybe at 5.1 miles outside of your radar, there's a fleet of 100 ships, and they would be in your radar screen in just seconds. They are approaching you. They're on the way, but you don't see it. Instead of just relaxing and saying, what's the energy, the frequency, the feeling I want to have, and I get more into that in every second through whatever kind of tools, like putting yourself in the sun or pretending you have something. The more you focus on how should I get the money, you go back to your old thinking, because you say, okay, what worked in the past kind of was, I need to call 100 people. If you call 100 people, 1 or 2 should say yes. That's what we learned in sales training. Let's do that. But what's the energy I put behind the cold calls? It's fear of safety, it's lack mentality, it's I need something. Other people can feel that. It's just a lot of hard work for some dollars or pounds or euros. Instead of just relaxing into it and trusting that whatever is not on your radar screen now, the solution is coming your way if you attract it through the emotion you would have when your wish is fulfilled. So quite long answer for a very short question,
I
but
love
I
it.
hope this helped a little bit. What
I
do you
love it
think
because,
about it?
do you know what? I love what you were talking about, because we're studying a power of awareness by Neville Goddard in our study group, and we were talking about the power of assumption. And it's what you just described. It truly is living the wish fulfilled, but it's not the begging, please, 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 God, now I don't have a money. And it's like, align yourself to be calm, which you did, because most of the times it is the time when we, as we call, hit the rock bottom. Then we feel like, well, actually, you know what? I have nothing to lose. And we kind of relax into being open, whatever comes. Whereas when we're holding on to the control, it's like sometimes our hands are bleeding because of the way things are happening around us and the situations and circumstances, but we're not letting go. It's like, I will hold on to this rope, and it's pulling through the hands, and we just can't let it go and say, okay, I have faith in me. I have faith in others. And really, that was the reason why we wanted to call this podcast Faith Building, because it's the belief you create in yourself. It's the belief that is actually surrounded chemicals in the body, in the environment. So where you place yourself, but you create your own environment. But I've written a sentence, as Norman was talking about, the crucial part, which is learn, unlearn, and relearn. We don't want to let go. We want to come up and present ourselves as these experts, and I've got it all figured out, and I've been studying these materials for so long. And it's the ignorance which Norman was talking about, because we don't have it figured out. We are better versions of ourselves. Well, I hope that we can all state that we're better versions than we were before. And the only competition you play with yourself is you versus you. Am I better today than I was yesterday? But if we focus on that, what do you need to, as Norman was talking about his experience, and then he brought himself to the new place, to the vision with using all these amazing tools. He was imagining himself in the new life, creating his own new world, and really asking himself the right questions, saying, what would I love? I would love to be back on a cruise ship. He entertained the idea and allowed it. And I'd like to point it out to you. Go back and listen to the story again, because how many times you dismiss the thing, saying, oh, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough education. I'd love to change the job, but I have to pay the bills. If I quit my current job, you create this. Is that what you believe? Because if that's what you believe, that's exactly what's going to happen. If you believe in struggle, that I guarantee you will be living in struggle. If you believe that it's hard to find a new job, it's hard to find a great relationship, it's hard to find someone you can trust. Oh, and I met, I won't name him, but he said to me, I said, how are you doing? Amazing in all areas. But I said, well, I would love to find a partner. And he said, but everybody these days is a gold digger. I said, is that what you believe? Because if that is what you believe, you're going to attract the gold digger. And go back to Norman's explanation to law of attraction. We become magnet to those thoughts you send out. You're sending out these thoughts of, like, let's say, I can't have that, or it's not possible for me, or I'm not good enough to have that. And then with your heart, the chemical addiction of the emotions Norman was talking about, bang, you attract it right back to you. And then most of the times people sit and say, why is this happening to me? Because you created it. You go to past into experiences. And again, as Norman pointed out as well, is you manifest what you would love if you give it more energy and time and emotions, but you also manifest what you don't like. So if you're spending time on what you don't like about your partner, oh, I can't stand, I'm just picking up this, and they never understand me, I'm never feeling appreciated, and all the stuff, you're literally creating that energy that by law, that partner will not appreciate you. They will leave the clothes on the floor because you're asking for it in an invisible world. And going to learn, so we never are at the space that we can say we know everything. It's the ignorance, because it's the knowing doing gap. We may know everything, but are you really doing it? Are you doing it? Are you focusing on imagining the good stuff and giving energy to what you would love instead of what's happening? And it doesn't matter what's happening into the world. Shut down the TV. Don't listen to the news. Because just choose to, like there was, we had a call, and one of the ladies said, my daughter is in Spain and they had this cyber attack, then their whole internet went down for a day. And I was the only one, well, actually there were two of us on the entire call who haven't heard of it. And she's like, you don't know? I said, no, because I don't watch news. I don't say it. I actually literally don't look at the news on my phone. I don't read newspapers. She said, how do you stay informed? I said, you just informed me. And it didn't change. It doesn't affect my life directly. So I've just found out a few hours later. But you always have people around who will inform you. But the way they inform you, know it as a fact that happened. And you don't have to dwell and create the emotional struggle where you actually put in your more emotions. So going back to creating your life, as Norman's talking about, is don't go back into your past experiences. Vibrate them now, because you're going to experience it in the future. If you're allowing the past experiences, especially the ones you don't like, to entertain and creating those feelings and addictions in your body that, oh, this will always happen to me. It's hard to make money. I will never find the girl who's trustworthy and loving and who's going to appreciate me. If you actually create these thoughts and your feelings support those statements, you're pretty much going to experience it because you're creating it for yourself. So, final thoughts for our audience, Norman?
I totally agree. It's the basic things again. And again, if we are willing to learn and willing to change, everything is good. But the moment you say, oh, what you mentioned earlier, Norman mastered many of the things, I think I scratched the surface a little bit and I imagine that I use some tools in a way that work properly for me. And I'm so excited about all the things that are coming, and I still can learn in this whole field where I think, I know it all. And this reminds me about Bob Proctor. This stick person, he penetrated this stick person into us in each and every free or paid workshop, seminar, weekend. It was always the stick person. And I remember myself rolling the eyes and said, oh, here we go again, the stick person. I got the model. And again, my willingness to learn and my willingness to change. Where was I on a scale between 1 is 0, basically nothing, and 10 would be I'm totally open. I may be at the 3 or 4 if I'm very smart. And again, does this change my now? No, I keep up with the same routine and what Vladi mentioned earlier. So just make sure that you know what you want. This is the most important thing. Something we can bring a long or a big desire over a long period of time into feeling like I have it, I own it already. And with that you start and all the other things will just fall into place. What are your final thoughts, Vladi?
I'm going to say the same. Clarity is the key. Because if you don't know where you're heading, how can you get there? It's your destination. It doesn't matter. And don't be hard on like which way you take. You actually have fun in the journey. It's just so important to stress this out. Success is not a straight line. And success doesn't happen overnight. I mean, all the successful people we know and even us, what we built, if you ask us 10 years ago, that we would be at the point where we're here, we would say to you, oh, if only I could get there. I don't need anything else in my life. And trust me, we got there and we do need more things in the life because we are here to expand, to live the life to the fullest. It's not about I need a 10 million in the bank account or 20 million or a billion. Do you know what it is about? Time and financial freedom and mental freedom, where you feel I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whomever I want, whichever way I feel. Because you surround yourself with the people who you feel vibrational alignment with. And that's the key. That actually creates your environment. You want to be around people who say to you, go for it. Even if you don't believe in yourself. And they never the ones who's, let me teach you the lesson because this is never going to work. Just because it didn't work for me, it doesn't mean it's not going to work for you, because I may have not been aligned to it and it may not be my strongest why. So my key point, have clarity on what you would love. So if we would be the fairies here and could grant you any wish, and I mean, there's no limits within the realms of nature, you could have anything. What would you love? Have 20 seconds to answer this. We're not hearing you. You've got 20 seconds to make a statement what it is. And that's what the wish will come true. But I've met so many people when I ask them the questions, they actually really don't know. They start wondering, well, if I could only have a mortgage paid. I said, is that all? It's like, you don't want to have like everything else around it. Who would you love to be? Come from the being rather than having the physical things. Because when you become that person, then you will have everything else you need. Like Norman said, he attracted everything prerequisite to what he aligned himself with, that his new goal. And it happened for him. And it's happening all the time. And it's happening to so many of you. But we can do and be better. But we need to become that person first. Final thought.
So true. I love it. And just believe. Just as really a final sentence from my side, Anke calculated last week that we had, I think, 18 cruises over the last years. 18. And it's not that we paid for them. We get paid to be there. and inspire people and change things. So your dream is just maybe 5 miles away from you. You just don't see it on your radar, but believe in it. And Vladi, what do you think? We speak about the law of attraction and how to manifest. I know of 3 proven ways how to manifest in a very good way. How about we speak about that in episode 22?
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds good. Then, guys, girls, have a wonderful week, and we see and hear you again in episode 22. Bye bye.
Bye.